let's say you give your 5,000 buyers to Meta. Meta can create a lookalike, let's say 1% of the United States that will look the most as your buyers, as the seed audience. That's kind of how we call it, the seed audience, and the lookalike is the tree audience, if you want to call it this way. So all right, welcome to today's Meta's call. So we're gonna go over audiences. We're gonna start with prospecting audiences, and then go through remarketing. And then if there's any question, anything practical, we'll jump in afterwards. So let me share my screen. Great. So I got a quick little doc, but I'll jump into to show you some live examples. So yeah, so starting with prospecting, the first type of audience I would like to go over is lookalikes. But there's also, they're kind of broken down. There's different types of LLAs. There's also interest, where it's where people, where Meta categorize people in each big pool of interest. And then there's broad, which can go just wide without any specification. And ASC is similar as broad, but it does remarketing on itself a little bit more. So yeah, we'll go over the specific. We'll try to keep it simple so it's easy to understand and get back to it. So lookalikes are the name kind of says it. It's audience that will be similar to a really small audiences. So let's say you give your 5,000 buyers to Meta. Meta can create a lookalike, let's say 1% of the United States that will look the most as your buyers, as the seed audience. That's kind of how we call it, the seed audience, and the lookalike is the tree audience, if you want to call it this way. So Meta recommendation is 1K to 5K email. It tends to go a bit over 1K because a bunch like 30% or 20% or so won't be a match. And you can go higher too. I'd say you can go 100K too if you have a large business with lots of good customers. But if there's a lot of customers, often what we like to do is only use the repeat customers, or the one that have the highest average order value. That way, we have an even better seed audience to create a better lookalike. So something interesting that most people don't know is that the source will be excluded automatically from the lookalike audience that we make. So just a quick cool fact. And there's different types of lookalikes that we like to use, and we like to stack them. We sometimes call it like super LLA. So we'll stack, let's say buyers, the email list, the repeat buyers, or from the pixel together. So we have like, let's say 4 or 5 1% lookalike stacked. So that will become like maybe 1.5% of the United States. But if there's one lookalike that goes sideways or whatnot, you have the other one that are there to kind of back it up. Yeah, so we like to test out 1%, 5% and 10%. You can go in between two. You can do like the 2, the 3, whatever, but just to kind of have a standard base to go over. It's kind of medium, small, medium, large type of lookalike. So 10% is the maximum that you can go. And there was some tool that could do 20%, but I'm not sure if they're still around. And then on these lookalikes, there's the Advantage Plus option. So I'll go over that a little bit in a real example. But Advantage Plus is kind of just you give a suggestion to Meta, and it can go beyond. So we usually like to do those with the 1%, for example, lookalike. So we'll stack the 1%, and we'll just say that's your starting point, and then you can go outside of that. But if we go, if we just go back to the different type of seed audience, the email buyers is usually like the best one. So can get those from an integration from Klaviyo. So Klaviyo has a direct integration with Meta that will sync the buyers dynamically, or any email. Sure, go ahead, jump in.
So I was just going to ask you if it's the same with like lead gen, if we just get their like email like subscriber list instead of buyers,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
the people who book appointments or whatever the lead gen is. Okay.
Yeah,
So it'd be the same.
yeah. Ideally, if you can get qualified leads here that I entered, it's probably better than just leads. That way, you'll have you'll be kind of like the repeat buyers instead of just the email buyers. You'll have the people that purchase twice if you have enough, more than 1,000. That's better lookalikes, technically.
So you need at least 1,000.
Yeah, I mean the minimum to work is about 100, but you need a bit more than that, so they match at least 100. But then that's quite very, that's, I would still try it, but that's usually a very small business, and it's not very a solid seed audience. So yeah, be really kind of minimum. Yeah.
And I have another question.
Sure.
With that, so we would prefer if we had some sort of like email list to use, but is there still some benefit to doing a lookalike audience? I think you can base it off of your like Instagram followers or your Facebook page likes and follows and those things.
Right.
Is there still a benefit to utilizing those if you've got like a pretty engaged audience?
Yeah, I think so. If you have an engaged audience, that would make sense. Can kind of capture those super engaged people if you want to get like social proof. I think that would make sense. Or often, when we'll do like visitors or followers, is when we don't have enough email buyers or we don't have access to it. That's kind of our second. We can have them together or split them up. But kind of what we like to do is stack the LLAs of the same percentage together, just so there's not too much overlap and there's some structure. It's not all over the place, but yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have those here. That's an option.
So if it's a new business, for example, and they haven't really gotten going yet, and they don't have an email list, but they've got a decent amount of followers on Instagram or something, we could just it would make sense just to start with that, right?
Yeah, followers, or I'd probably start with visitors. They should have at least 1,000 visitors in the past 6 months. That's as far as you can go. So that's probably where I would start, visitors, but then followers can be interesting too. Engagers, yes, too, but it's very early in the funnel if they haven't visited the website yet, or added to carts or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, email buyers, there's a Klaviyo integration, or they can do an export of Shopify or their CRM, or anything MailChimp they're using and stuff like that. So yeah, you can just get all the buyers lifetime. I would like to still get those even if it's a big business, but then repeat buyers. With Klaviyo, you also have the option to do like the value spend. So usually I would do, let's say their AOV is $200, then I would start anyone with let's say $250 value over time that spend. So that could be another lookalike of higher spenders. And then, like we just mentioned, either all leads, or if you can get the qualified leads or the converted leads, that would be even better. Should I probably put converted there? Yeah, for the lead gen type of client. And then for buyers, you can also do the pixel. So that's the event when someone purchased, there's an event that goes back to Facebook. So it can go back 180 days for these. So we like to do lookalikes of that as well. Usually not as strong as the email for some reason, but pretty strong. And there's also the native option to do purchase value of the past 60 days on Meta. So that if there's enough data, again, it's not like 6 months or lifetime. So it's just past 60 days. So need enough data. You can do the value of those, so that people that it would consider someone that, let's say, bought for $500 a lot more to create the lookalikes than the one that purchased for $50, for example. So they have much more value. That's kind of how it works. And then for the lead gen, you can do a lead event, past 6 months. So yeah, I could maybe show you real quick how those work. So Let's say I come in here. I want to create a lookalike audience. So to do the pixel value, here, that's a relatively small audience. So you just select the pixel right there, in the value base. If you want to do the other source, you just go other source and grab the other one. But here, value base is the pixel. And then you have your purchase recommended. And that's in the past 60 days. So you can see like the highest value pass was 3K. So someone that purchased for 3,000. So these close to 3K will have much more impact than the one with the lowest spend. And then you select your country, so United States, and then you kind of create your lookalike, either 1%, 5%, or 10%, or you can go in between as well. And if they don't have enough, purchase, you could go also like add to cart, for example. So we go from 143 to 300, or even like view content, but view content is, there's no really intention to buy, so that's trickier, but you have more data here. So that's kind of to create the pixel value. To create the actual seed audience of the purchase. So instead of creating, sorry, maybe I went fast here. So instead of create lookalike here, you want to make sure you have your custom audience ready. So you would go website. Here we want to select the right pixel. And then we want to select our purchase event. And then that's how many days we want to go back. So maximum is 6 months, 180 days. And that's kind of, then you can name your audience, Soleil purchase 180 day, something like that. We could also have refined by, this is one kind of the next step I'm going here, is the product specific. So, yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Sorry, before you move forward, I don't understand well the 1%, 2%, and all those things.
Sure.
What's that?
Yeah, so 1% will be 1% of the United States. So here I have some kind of, let me switch that up. Yeah, so here I have like a 1%, US 1%. So that would be like 1% of the United States that look like the seed audience. So yeah, so this one is like 2 million, let's say. And here we have 10%, so these are close to 22 million. So in the United States, there is, I think, 350 million or so. So yeah, 10%. I mean, let's take, for example, from this, there would be like 250 million people. 250 million people. So 10% of the United States is 25 million. If that makes sense. Then 1%, 2 million.
Which one to choose?
So we will use all of them. So either we'll stack the 10%. So right there, we'll stack either the 10%. So we'll use the repeat buyers. We'll use the value qualified, for example. We'll use the purchase and the purchase of the past 60 days with value that's kind of integrated. So we'll kind of stack all of them to create like, I would call them like super lookalike audience, for example. So let me give you a quick example. So here on this one, yeah, that's a good example. So here we have 1% stacked Advantage Plus, but it's all buyers from Klaviyo, buyers that spent more than $300 lifetime, repeat buyers, so bought more than once. This is the using the purchase value, the pixel purchase value I just showed you. And this is the purchase of the past 6 months. So we're kind of stacking them up. So you see like the audience is a bit bigger than 1 million, but that we saw working better just stacking them up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do you know whether you want to use the 1% or the 5% or the 10%? I don't know. Did you just answer that? I didn't understand.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of, I would say it's kind of be up to you, or depending on the brand, or the audience. To me, it's important, but it's not the determining factor. Determining factor will be the creatives. So you could use any of those. Either stack 1%, 5%, 10%. I think they all should be great audience because they're lookalike, and they should perform relatively similar. But if I would start with one, is the 10%. It's it's bigger, it's larger. So if I would say just pick one of those, I would pick the 10% and stack them up. Sure, go ahead.
But it also makes sense that maybe for your sample for your lookalike, that maybe the 1% is a little bit too limiting, and you would want to do a 10% because that gives you a bigger sample size.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah, it just gives more inventory to Meta to go find the buyers you're looking for. But then 1% is super targeted to. It's really close to your warm audience. So I think it's worth testing. On the example we're doing here, it's the Advantage Plus audience. So the Advantage Plus here is this will be a suggestion, but it will not be counted as the fixed audience. So we could go back to switching to the original audience, and this will this will be Meta won't go outside of our 1% lookalike. So that's kind of the main difference. The new Advantage Plus audience has recently been added a few months back, just so it has more flexibility to go catch the buyers they're looking for, that we're looking for, that are ready to buy now. And also for the iOS privacy policies, sometimes it's harder for them to target with lookalikes or interests. So doing the Advantage Plus audience will let Facebook kind of go outside of that kind of a workaround. That makes sense.
So if you go wider than 10%, does it make it more difficult for Facebook to find that audience that you need?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's make it more difficult. I would say Meta, is now really focused on just get the larger audience possible to have like the biggest inventory to really find the buyers they're looking for. So the rule of thumb now is like the bigger the better. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's not more difficult. It's more it's kind of targeted, but not too narrow. We don't want to restrict the algorithm, the AI. So it's kind of an in between, I would say, the 10%. It's decent, quite large audience, 25 million, but it's not the full United States at 200 million or something. So yeah, it's tricky in terms of if you want to restrict or if you want to be specific, but my suggestion would be 10% to start. Just so it's a good in between between going broad or ASC and having some sort of targeted. And if you have a business that has a lot of data, usually like broad will work super well, because the algorithm knows where to go based on the history of the page, the account, the pixel, stuff like that. But if it's starting and there's not a ton of data, you might want to go for the lower percentage to kind of give a better idea on Meta to where to go, if that makes sense. But it's not black and white for sure. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, in terms of the event, that's kind of it inside of Meta to create them. You have so many options to create here. If you would like to go specific to a product, you can refine by right there. You can do with the URL contain, or what I like to do is use the content ID. So the content ID will be either the number of Shopify, or if I go on logox. Oops. Yep. So this one has a view content. Yep. So the view content here, that will be your content ID that you can see like on the Metapixel helper to kind of go product specific. So if you want to do like either just a purchase, you would paste the number that I just got here right there, or either on the back end on each product of Shopify, there's a number at the end. That would be the same thing as the content ID. And you can do also like people that just view content of this specific product, so just add it to cart and then want to exclude buyers probably for either doing lookalikes, or with those audiences, we can do remarketing too, which we'll get really shortly. So again, for those, we always have the option to go Advantage Plus or not. So just be a suggestion instead of being the fixed audience. So that's for all the audience, we can do that. Yeah, so I guess moving on would be something we touched base. It would be if we don't have enough data, if we want to do like more lookalikes or test different one, maybe the buyers don't work. So we want to just explore the visitors or the people that initiate checkout, add to cart, all subscribers, potentially that could be good. Visitors, engagers, it can work, but you know, I haven't had a ton of success with engagers. I'd probably go visitors, add to cart, initiate checkout first, subscribers, visitors, followers, engagers, and then video viewers. Here I put it here when there's not enough data to do buyers, but it could be added to buyers as well, or it could be mixed up, and it could be tried even if there's enough data. Just try to switch things up if you know, you want to try different avenues, see if it will work better. Sometimes, you know, visitors have much more data than the buyers, so that would potentially be more quality. But then, you know, you have the lookalikes could go just for people that are curious instead of really online buyers that we're looking for. So that's kind of why we like to go with the more precise buyers to start. And then what I was going over is product and collection specific, especially for brands. Let's say they have a woman collection and a men collection for clothing. You know, it's not the same buyers, so you can split the buyers between products or collection to really have specific on the pixel. Same thing I was kind of showing there. You know, you could do right there. You could go with just the visitors, for example, that visited specific web pages, and that could be the collection URL, for example, and then you can do lookalike based out of that. Add to cart and you say checkout or visitors. Yeah, so that's kind of it for lookalikes. Anything else? Any question regarding that? Seems good. Don't hesitate to jump in. The next big one is
I got a question. First time caller, long time listener.
There you go.
No, sorry, I haven't been in a while, but and
Yep.
this is not even like a good question, but regarding lookalike audiences, have you guys actually ever seen anything in like the 10% or like anything past like 4% ever work? Like I've always found that it's been, I imagine you're going for volume, but for me it's always been like 1 to 3, and then I've always been like, I don't know, I would never go beyond that. Like, have you ever gone beyond that?
Yeah. I mean, our favorite is kind of the 10%. I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to do that too, but then I kind of try the higher percentage lookalike, and they seem to work better. So I'm not sure. Yeah. That's a reflex, I think, of most people, is just kind of go narrow. But it seems like when you give a larger pool, it tends to work better. So I'd say test it out on your account and see how that goes. It's one of my favorite, you know, the one we usually see working the best is 10%.
Damn. All right. Well, it goes to show that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reflex of most people to go the lower percentage, and it's kind of, oh, that will be just too narrow. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, test it out and let me know. Yeah.
All right.
Because they're one of the best usually. One of my favorites.
All right. So that's really good for me to know. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you might find some gold nuggets there. Again, the lookalikes, you know, it usually will be better 10%, but the creative will make the major lift there.
Financial constraints that they were having and wanted to review everything and start fresh with their meta ads. But anyways, we're rebuilding their platform, and I'm doing it in a very similar way to what I was doing for this brand. And what that looks like is, I'll start with the top of funnel.